Palmer now.
This is pure nonsense. Doesn't prove a thing.
I thought you'd feel that way, Gary. You were the only one that could have got to that blood. We'll do you last.
Hello, audience. Jim, how are you doing today?
I'm fine. I'm a little sweaty. It's humid as shit in London, Ontario.
Jim, I come to you today shirtless, red and raw from my sunburn. I'd like to talk to you about some movies, but first, I want to talk to you about what we've been doing.
Dan, we need to introduce ourselves, for fuck's sakes.
Jim, everyone knows I'm Danny. My name is Danny. My Twitter tag is @DanSama, DAANSAMA, and that is Jim over on the other side there speaking.
Hello.
And his Twitter tag's @Popeyed Bark, and we are Shackout Back. And we also have a little fancy business Twitter. It's at Shackout Back Pod, and I mainly tweet some cool stuff on it, and my anime opinions, and I like some shit too.
Yeah, this is Shackout Back, a bi-weekly podcast. We talk about whatever the fuck we want, and now we're talking about The Things from 2011 and 1982, because we couldn't find the one from the 50s.
Both things. It's also, Jim, you want to know a super secret factoid?
Sure.
It's the 40th anniversary today.
Today? Of,
like today
the
or
thing?
like next Tuesday or like yesterday. It's like the 40th anniversary happening right now.
And just think, this will come up in like a week and a half.
That's
or like
wild.
half a week.
It's actually super like that. What's the chances? Like, it's a real big coincidence.
What are the chances? You got it distributed in June 25th, 1982.
It's like a week ago. It's the big time. I guess it was showing in some theaters across America. That'd be such a cool little experience, seeing the thing in a big theater.
We can go and see it in the local theater in our town. But let's get fucking started here. Yeah, Dan, bi-weekly breakdown. We're going to talk about what we were doing the last 2 weeks. You go first. You go.
I go first. As I said, we went to the beach. We had a big old beach day a couple days ago with all of our friends in the gang. And I got there wearing a shirt. I put some sunscreen on my arms, my legs, my face, and all my parts. And then I went swimming, and I took my shirt off, and then I completely forgot to put sunscreen on my chest and my back. And I got home that day, and I said, wow, I'm raw. So
I went over to Dan's yesterday, and he looked like an overcooked lobster.
Yeah, so I've been putting on the aloe vera and stuff like that.
How are you today? How are you today at work?
I'm actually not that bad. I had an ice cold shower yesterday night and an ice cold shower this morning. I've been putting on aloe and stuff. But I also didn't wear my work shirt. I wore like another black collared shirt I have, and it's just made out of a different material, so it's not scratchy. And I'm not wearing my name tag because it hurts my sunburn when it touches the inside of my shirt.
It hurts me.
Other than that, I finished Prey Moon Crash. I was talking about that on the Twitter as well.
Dan nonstop played that.
Oh, I did. That's an extremely good DLC for an extremely good game that is, fortunately or unfortunately, because it didn't really do well in, like, money-wise, but it's a cult classic. People know, like, if you like immersive sims, that game is absolutely fucking fantastic. And the DLC was played even less than the main game. I have some basic achievements that have, like, a 2% achievement rating. So it's really sad, but definitely go play Prey. I think the Steam sale will still be on, ? When this comes out, for like one more day maybe. So you can probably get it for quite cheap. Been kind of quiet. We went to, was that this week that we went to the International Beer Festival, right?
Yeah, no, yeah, it was this time. Yeah, it was. It was.
Yeah.
It was. We went for beer. Me and Dan and his girlfriend and Brandon and a bunch of our friends. We went out for drinking. We drank a lot.
Yeah, we drank some stuff. There was a food fest on. I got some cool Nigerian food. I had some delectable Nigerian food. I love stuff like that. But other than that, you know, we put in the AC. Oh, Jim, I forgot to tell you. I almost forgot. Our apartment flooded today. That's a real thing.
How did it flood?
So Cassie messages me at work and she's like, the storage room is water. She's like typing real quick. She's like, water, look. And she sends a video and it's like pooling in the storage room, like out off the pipes and shit. And I was like, holy fuck. I'm like, call the emergency number. and I don't think they thought it was as big, because apparently they were getting reports of condensation on the pipes today, and then they came in and Cassie was like, yeah, they came in and were like, oh my god, we need to get more people. And they brought up, like, a bunch of people, and they were, like, draining water out of the apartment storage room, and, like, we're gonna run a fan after this to try and dry it out, and we had to take all the stuff out immediately, but it's all okay. It didn't touch my computer, don't worry.
What about, like, movies or something? You're talking about life shit. What about your media interest there?
Jim says, what about your very existence? Talk about movies. I don't know, what have I been watching? Me and Cass...
Don't you keep a fucking list, bro?
I do, but I didn't really write much. I was too busy watching Bob's Burgers. We got Disney Plus, we mooched it off of her family, and we've been watching Bob's Burgers. We've been watching a lot of Seinfeld. Stranger Things, we haven't watched the last 2 episodes. By the time this comes out, I'll be done it, obviously. And we're caught up on The Boys, an absolutely fantastic show. It's been just been kind of nice. I've just been playing Prey Mooncrash. Like you said, I kind of mainlined it. I didn't play anything for like a week and a half besides that game.
My turn?
Yeah, Jim, explain to me. Tell me what you've done. Tell the viewers what you've done.
I listened to a podcast I like a lot. I re-listened. It's called The White Vault. It's a narrative podcast, a horror one.
You tweeted about that, right?
Yeah, I did. It actually got some engagement, which is nice.
Yes.
I got Dread X5 on sale, on the Steam sale, and I beat it. And it was like 1/3 of the games I didn't like or didn't work or I fucking hated, and the other 2/3 are really good.
That's all good. Yeah, that you said didn't work. That's kind of interesting. Usually they're pretty on. What do you mean didn't work? Like crash? Just couldn't progress?
No, like it was like so bad. I don't want to say what game it was.
Yeah.
And I don't really remember what the name of the game was. But it was like, I started in, I'm like, oh, this is a cool intro sequence. And then it was just like dog shit. It was like a dog shit Unity game. My computer was screaming because it was so fucking unoptimized. It was bad.
Yeah. I'll probably pick up Dread X5 and play it, and then I'll know what games are dog.
I watched unedited footage of a bear with John because he had never seen it. Have you seen unedited footage of a bear?
You showed me it, yes, Jim. You showed me it when you showed me Too Many Cooks or whatever it's called.
Too Many Cooks. Everyone go look up unedited footage of a bear. I watched Green Knight. Green Knight was good. I had a bad day, and I had to take a day to make myself feel better, and I went to the movie. I did a bunch of shit, and then I went to the movies to watch The Black Phone, which is a stupid name, but it's a good-ass movie, good-ass horror movie. I liked it a lot.
You liked it, yeah. One of my other friends saw it, and she said it was dog doo-doo, and then you said it was good, and I think my dad's going to see it tomorrow, so I think most people are saying it's good, though.
It's not scary. It's just, like, well-acted and
it's just
very good.
Yeah.
I don't get scared very easily, though. Me and Dan, we watched Doctor Strange 2.
Oh, we did. It's so forgettable. I forgot.
It was not good. I'm not going to lie to you and say I liked it. I didn't like it at all. The Sam Raimi parts were good, but the rest of it was stupid. It was just
I don't think
writing.
It was horrible, but I just think it was very forgettable, and it felt like just a movie shoved to the side. It's all the stuff I see online. I don't really know if they know what to do with Doctor Strange.
That's the thing. That's why I like hard fantasy when they have rules for magic. Like Doctor Strange can just pull out any old MacGuffin out of his ass.
Flabbity blabbity, out of the shield. Yeah, I don't know. I'm with you on that one. I feel like the rules need to be better defined for people to care. Like he needs to have a power item or something, or we need to know some of the spells he can do, or
something. I think Marvel's finally starting to crack.
Yeah, I saw that Thor Love and Thunder, is that what it's called? The pre-reviews are coming out, and lots of people are saying it was, like, not very good, and some of the CG I've seen kind of look like a Toyota car commercial. It doesn't really look promising. I'm sure it'll be one of those movies that, once again, is fine, but I think that's not what people are expecting anymore with Marvel after Infinity War and stuff. They're expecting, like, huge blockbusters.
I finished Obi-Wan, speaking of Disney, and Obi-Wan finished very well. It was good. They had a big fight with Darth Vader at the end, and it was good. I liked it a lot.
I know Darth Vader.
I had a Star Wars day, and I had not seen Rise of Skywalker, and I started it, and I watched 20 minutes of it, and I was like, holy shit, this is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Just started skipping through it, and it was so fucking bad. I don't know how Star Wars is so popular, and they only have like 3 good movies.
Adults always make fun of me, and people always make fun of me and say, you watch a lot of anime, and then I watch Star Wars for 8 seconds, and I've got shit Dick Riddick playing the saxophone in the cantina.
Playing the
a bunch of guys and all this weird shit. And I'm like, anime's not that weird compared to some of the stuff you guys do. It's just more normalized. Like, have you ever seen some fucking NFL, like, mascots? Those things are fucked.
I watched The Gentleman again, which led me into watching Guy Ritchie's newest movie called Wrath of Man, and it doesn't really feel like a Guy Ritchie movie. It feels like he obviously didn't write it, and if he did, I'd be very baffled by that. Yeah. But he was starred, what's his name? The fella from Crank.
I've watched this, yes.
Jason Statham.
Jason Statham. I always want to say Liam Neeson. Yeah, Jason Statham. That's the one where it's like a bank thing, right? They're like Brinks drivers.
Yeah.
They based that movie off my dad. That's kind of cool.
The action was good, but the script was fucking poopy, and it was
a
very generic movie.
I like the action of that movie. I remember that movie.
I've been kind of sad this week, and it's been reflected in the music I've been listening to. I'm listening to a lot of like Fiona Apple and The National and Gaslight Anthem. That's what I've been putting on my headphones as I walk to and from work. But other than that, that's it, Dan. That's my bi-weekest breakdown. We watched The Things, of me and you and Cassie, over the last week or so.
We watched the 2011 one first, which, and then we watched the 1982 one yesterday, which was big, happy, smiling, fun time. I love that movie.
So do you want to talk about these movies in the order that we watched them in? Talk about The Thing 2011 and The Thing 1982?
Let's do that. Let's talk about... So, would you wager that... Because The Thing is a cult classic 100%. Whenever I say The Thing just without the 2011, I'm always talking about the older one. It's definitely a cult classic. If you're a horror fan, you've most likely seen it, or at least you know pretty much all about what it is. I think it's a fucking fantastic movie. It's like a nice warm sweater I pull on every year. I probably watch that movie once a year. It's very good. But yeah, let's talk about the 2011 one first, Jim. You can tell me what happens in this shit pile of a movie.
So the Thing from 2011 is based on the beginning of The Thing 1982, where they go to the Norwegian base, because The Thing 1982 starts with like a guy in a helicopter shooting at a dog and then blowing himself up and getting shot.
Yeah, you can tell something's already happened before. That's another cool part of that movie. It's like, shit's already been going on.
This is the thing that was going on, and it's way worse than what happened after, or before, whatever the fuck, because it's a prequel. So this movie is not good. It starts with two guys in a truck, one of them snow-crawling trucks, making a joke about, I don't know, vaginas or something, and they fall in a big ice crack, and they find a spaceship, and they find the Thing, and then the Norwegian guy running the place goes to America, and he gets the guy who's saying Brit is a no-good bee in Community, and Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
They pull him off, they pull him off of Jeff Winger's group, and they put him in this movie.
Dan has fascination with Jeff Winger. He keeps talking about him every episode. And then they get to the ice, they pull the Thing out of the ice, and then shenanigans happens. So this movie, I think most people would know how the Thing, the creature, operates, but explain how the Thing operates, Dan.
So the Thing is the imposter from Among Us. That's for all the kids out there who don't know what the Thing is. It's like the sussy guy from Among Us.
Super sussy.
It's an alien life form, and it takes over your body and then mimics you perfectly. So there's been lots of creatures like that over all the scary films and stuff, but I think so many things, and Cassie said it too. Cassie was like, wow, I think my book might be drawing inspiration, and you were like, yeah, a lot of things draw inspiration from the Thing. It just does it so well, but that's kind of what it is. It's just you, but it's not you. It's a monster that looks exactly like you, but then it grows big teeth out of its stomach and eats someone.
It's a very like lizard brain, oh yikes, like Uncanny Valley creature. It's like the epitome of the Uncanny Valley creature. Oh yeah,
it is. It's disturbing enough that there's a scene in the 1982 one which does not make me feel good at all. I do not like it.
Well, there's a scene in this movie too, the 2011 one, that doesn't make me feel good. I don't really want to talk about the plot of this movie a lot. I kind of want to talk about
same. That's the thing.
It's exactly the same plot as the 1982 thing, but just with worse characters and worse writing.
Just like imagine you watched the good one, except you didn't. Now it's bad.
When they were making this movie, the director, whoever, had like a big pile of screenshots from the Thing 1982, and he tried to set up each shot in this movie so it matched up with the scene where MacReady goes to the Norwegian base. So it's like the axe in the door, and the guy who killed himself, and the creature that's like molding in between two people and stuff. So it just like all is supposed to match up perfectly. But why would you why would you spend the time making sure everything's exactly as it was in the movie from 30 years beforehand and not write a good film?
Because you're too busy with a bunch of studio... I will say, I hope it was the studio execs who were like, you know, the original one, it's like a cult classic. Everyone who's going to see this movie has seen that movie. Make them feel at home. Do this shot. And then this shot. Now do this. This is like the old movie.
I really don't know if there's that much studio meddling in terms of that. I know the ending was changed. The ending was supposed to be more ambiguous. I think she was supposed to die in the spaceship or something.
Yeah.
Instead, they had like an epic
it's literally,
fight at the end.
Yeah. The ending's weird, especially from the ending from the old movie. This ending is very straight up, no, I win, you are it. I'm gonna light you on fire, and then I drive off into the sunset. The 1982 thing ending is fucking amazing. It's so good, and that's why people talk about it now still.
I think that, how do you want to talk about this 2011 movie? Because it's definitely not as interesting, as well put together, or as well thought out as the older film. I will bring up, just to preface this, that a lot of the reason why this movie doesn't work... Hey everybody, we're back. We're talking about The Thing still. Dan's internet cut out.
We're back. 17 minutes into the episode, my internet decided to fuck off and not exist anymore, as it's been doing all day, which is why I'm getting a new internet service provider. But
I wanted to
what
say,
were we saying?
I was saying that I think the main reason why this movie doesn't work, one is because the script is bad, and two is because they planned, when they were making the production for this movie, when they were in pre-production, they were going to do everything with animatronics and puppets and make it just like the Thing from 1982, but then they flip-flopped in the middle of the film back to CGI, and
really?
all of the fucking kills in this movie and a lot of the elements of this film that are supposed to be scary look fucking stupid because it's like a 2011 CGI that just looks like shit.
It looks like a PS3 game, like cutscene, like a Killzone cutscene. It looks really jarring. And there are some points, especially near the end, when she goes onto the alien ship, where it's like...
It looks like Cowboys and Aliens.
Yeah, I think it was just like, we can do this in CG now. Make them have floating voxels on the ship for some reason.
That was so bad.
I don't know why, because it just takes you out of the scene, and you look at it and you say, wow, that looks really bad.
That looked like Moonfall.
But yeah, it's not just that the CG is shitty, because it wouldn't be as bad of a movie as it is if you could just be like, well, the CG's just bad. But it's like all the characters compared to their original movie counterpart, like all the characters, you have no relation to any of them. I couldn't tell you what any of them do, what any of them like doing, their personality.
Oh yeah, all of the...
Nothing.
It's like, okay, so the main characters of this movie is, okay, there's Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Kate Lloyd. She's like a scientist. They bring her over so she can pull this thing out of the ice. And then Joel Egerton's basically the co-star, and he's Just McCready. He's literally Just McCready.
Yes, he
from the Thing. And then you have like the main Norwegian guy who's just mean to her. And that's
you can
why
tell,
he's the
the villain. Yeah, he's the villain. He's just evil all the time for some reason.
And then the fella from Community who's saying Britta's no good bee. And the rest of them are just like random Norwegian guys who don't have much characterization. There's Lars, Olav. There's our favorite Peter. There's Henrik and Jonas and Colin.
I couldn't tell you any of those people. You're just naming off Minecraft names for me. I couldn't tell you any of those fucking people. What do they do?
And then there's a lady. That's the main draw of this Thing from 2011, Dan. There's two ladies in it.
That is the main draw. There is two women in it.
And they're both characterized very poorly, worse than any other character in the Thing 1982. I don't I don't really know why they made this. And
that was the thing too. Why? Like, why? What was did they want to do more with this monster?
Well, they already had a Thing video game. I know there's one Thing video game that's also a prequel, so I don't know the canon of the Thing. I don't know what the fuck it is. But, like, it's just, like, that was pretty successful. It didn't sell very well, but people consider it a good game, or a middling game anyway. And then they made this, like, everything that has spawned from the Thing, including John Carpenter's career, just went into the toilet. Like, everything they've tried to spin off the Thing. Because they don't understand why it's good. They don't understand why the Thing from 1982 is good. And this movie, like, just ripped all their fucking shit from the Thing from 1982 and just did it worse. Like, why would I want to watch another version of the same movie, but worse?
Why would you watch this? And that's the thing. Why would you ever watch the 2011 one when you can just watch the 1982 one? the kills in this movie, bar one, are pretty fucking lame. I think 3 people get killed in a single scene from tentacles whipping around the room.
Maybe.
Randomly.
I watched this movie
there's
days
2
ago,
good
I don't
kills.
remember.
Yeah, I know, right?
There's the one that I remember is when the other lady corners Mary Elizabeth Winstead in like a closet, and then she turns into like a toothing maw figure.
She turns into a side mouth, and fucking chases her.
Then she starts chasing her, and then a guy comes out of like the bar, and then she's like, "Run!" And he's like, "What?" And he turns around and just gets impaled by the lady and starts getting eaten, and then she gets burnt to death. That I remember that. And the other like big scene in this film that was almost done well is exactly the same as the blood scene from 1982, except they're checking each other's fillings in their teeth, because fillings used to be mostly I don't know if they were, I don't know what compound they're made out of, but you could see them in people's teeth. Like I probably have some, my sister has some, I know.
I remember I had some as well.
Yeah. And they're like, okay, these people have fillings, they're good, because the thing can't replicate like, you know, your disfigurements and stuff, like your extra like tattoos or stuff like that. It can't replicate that, or earrings and stuff. So like, okay, these people are safe. And then the thing, I don't remember what happens, but one of the guys is like the thing, and he like sloughs his arm off and then starts crawling around backwards on the ground. And there's a guy who gets stabbed. It's the guy who sings British No Good Bee. And then he just starts like sloughing into his body. And truly, when I was watching that, I was like, oh my God, that's like the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. It makes my fucking stomach hurt.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking horrific. I was gonna say that death, that's a very interesting, cool thing. You never see the Thing use that again, though. I want to see the Thing meld into a person. I was gonna say the one where the guy's arm falls off and it crawls up the other dude, and it like gives him CPR on his mouth, and it's just
him the big
fucking
suck.
Disgusting. Yeah, it gives him a suck on his tongue. That was a nasty one. But,
those are the only memorable parts of this movie. The rest of it is dog shit. It's
I don't even know their names.
It's literally exactly the same scenes from The Thing 1982, or like just an unambiguous ending that's fucking dumb. Like her and Joel Egerton crawl out of the spaceship after she kills the main thing and blows up the spaceship, and he's like, "Let's go back to base." And she's like, "I see you don't have an earring on." He's like, "Wait," and then she just burns him alive, and he's the Thing, and then the movie ends. There is actually, I don't know what kind of, because where did we watch this movie? Did we watch it on Netflix or fucking Amazon or something?
Okay, so we watched it on Netflix, but then we found it on Amazon Prime, and there were 3 different listings of it. There's a Thing 2011,
there's a Thing 1982, and then there's a Thing 1982 with the pictures from the Thing 2011.
From 2011. So that one I think is a melding of both of them. Every other frame is the other movie put on top of itself. That'd be an interesting watch.
So apparently, I'm reading the plot summary here, and apparently there's another ending piece where the next morning, Thul's helicopter and pilot Matthias return. Matthias views the ruined station. Who the fuck are them? I don't fucking know. And
those are probably the guys that like chase the dog.
Yeah, these are the guys who chase the dog. I don't remember seeing this at the end of the movie. Maybe it was like a post-credit scene or something, but it's literally just setting up the Thing, like the beginning of the next movie.
I don't. Why? Why do this?
Why was this film made?
Like, you could have made, and you could have done it interesting. I understand the premise. I understand being like, you know.
Oh, this is the other thing. This is the other thing that was great to watch the movie with Dan, because Dan kept saying like, "Why don't you do this? This would be better." I'm like, "Fuck yeah, that'd be better." Tell him some of the things, Dan.
Okay, so as of a bunch of things, our podcast seems to always come back to this, that we like interesting shit, even if it's not done perfectly.
Well, yeah.
Try something fucking different. Don't just give me a shit movie. So, they had a cool new set piece in a huge alien ship. Why not set the movie and be like, hey, we found this big ship. Don't even let them find the thing frozen in ice or whatever. Just be like, we found this big ship. Let's go down there and set a little forward base camp, a first camp up, and then you'd have a really interesting set, and they'd be walking around new things, not just the same wooden shacks that are done better in the 1982 version. And you could have, I asked Jim this, because they have the super smart computer in this movie too, that's like, chance of fucking contamination.
Infection.
They have that too, and why wouldn't they make it so that someone gets like Thing blood in them, and then they slowly start to like lose their grip on who they are and eventually become just a mindless person? I said that because when they go back to the base in 1982, they find a dude that's like slit his wrists and like I think slit his throat open or something.
Yeah.
And we don't know who that is in this movie. I don't think anyone does that, right?
It's at the end. It's at that end part we didn't see, the post-credit scene, probably, that
Someone
we didn't
does
fucking
that?
sit through. Yeah.
Fucking weird. I just don't get it.
Well, me and Dan also read
God.
The famous, like, Thing short story. I told Dan to read that. If
very
you want to,
fucking
listeners, just look it up. Just look up Thing short story. And it's told from the perspective of the Thing during the 1982 movie.
Yes.
And it goes into things that aren't canon, but kind of make sense, that, like, people are infected, but they're just slowly infected. Like, they're not, like, subsumed in 1 second like some of the people are in the movie.
It's
But
cool.
it's like
I like that. I like that concept.
They eat some, like, thing flesh, and they slowly start morphing into the thing and, like, battling over their soul and stuff like that. That would be a cool element to have in this movie, too. Like,
yeah, and do interesting shit with it. I really like that concept. That short story paints the picture of, like, the Thing is very intelligent, and this is the first world that he's visited, I should say that. And we're the first species that he's taken a hold of that truly has nothing in their mind. Like, there's nothing going on. I think in that short story, he constantly says we're just piles of meat that he's taking control of, and he feels nothing. He feels alone in the body.
That's because we don't have hive minds, right? It's because we have, like, singular minds.
Yeah, and it's such an interesting concept. Like, there is so much you could do with this concept. Yeah, like with this concept. It's such an interesting idea. And we were kind of spitballing video game ideas. Like, it's the perfect thing to do that.
I think it'd be good. I think we said it'd be good Until Dawn game, but it could also be like some kind of like more involved, like Among Us style game. But the problem with those setups is that like they have to, like every other thing has to be simplistic except for like the mechanics. Yeah. So it would have to be like an imposter game or something.
Yeah, I would rather it do a strict story video game, so it doesn't have as much replayability, let's say, because you would pretty much know who is the Thing, who's not going to be the Thing, but it would give the creature a sort of intelligence like he obviously has in the 1982 film. In the 2011 film, the Thing is pretty much portrayed as a big dumb thing that will kill everyone for some reason. I
just
don't
like
really
randomly attacks people.
Yeah, I didn't really understand that at all. I don't really think they knew what they wanted to do. I think they were probably given the Thing IP and they were like, you know, make a movie. Like, we have this setup, we have the little sets and stuff, and we have the CG on my Lenovo ThinkPad. Make the computer, make the movie.
Yeah, I really don't think this movie's worth watching. I think
really.
Maybe the only thing worth watching is you go on YouTube and if you're some kind of sadomasochist, look up Top 10 Epic Kills from The Thing 2011. That might be a fun thing for you to twiddle your dick over if you're in that sort of mood.
Can we talk about a better movie?
Yeah, let's talk about The Thing 1982, one of the best movies ever made!
Let's talk about this fucking cool movie. This movie has a very sad backstory of destroying a man's career because critics at the time said that was a stinky poo-poo movie and it had lots of gore and violence.
That movie was mean-spirited. I don't like it. I'm Roger Ebert and I only like movies that make me smile.
Fuck everyone. John Carpenter's The Thing is so cool, and I'll give John Carpenter a big wet kiss next time I see him. Is he still alive?
John Carpenter's still alive. He looks like he's looked like the same age for like 40 years. He's looked like an 80-year-old man since he was like 35.
The Thing was John Carpenter's biopic, but The Thing from 1982 is just the better movie in every single aspect. Every single part of it's better. Like, the sets are better. They use a goddamn matte painting for a couple of the scenes. Oh, yeah. That's very interesting.
I think we've talked about part of the beginning where, like, they go to, like, Norwegian base and stuff, but everything's so ambiguous in this movie. Like, there's not any explanation as to what's going on. They just have to, like, figure it out themselves, which I guess is an element of The Thing 2011, but this one, like, there's no scientists with them. There's no scientists. These are just, like, a bunch of fellas, and I know some of them are fucking smarties. Like, Blair is a smarty. He's a biologist and stuff, but the rest of them are just, like, fellas. It's like the guy who makes the beans, the guys who drive the helicopters, the fellas who like the guy Clark who takes care of the dogs, and it's just like a bunch of dudes who just like going around doing stuff. It's not like, and they're all different. They all have nicknames. They have memorable names too. Their names aren't fucking like Lars and Peter.
Yeah, I feel like I know some of these guys. I know Palmer because he smokes a bunch of fucking weed. I know Blair because he freaks out and he says, "I'm not gonna kill myself." and he's sitting next to a noose. I know all these guys.
And I know it's probably a part of that is because, like, we're Western white fellas, so we remember names better. But I remember Null's name. I remember Child's name. I remember fucking Fuchs's name. Those aren't regular names. I remember MacReady. Like, I don't remember a single fucking name from The Thing 2011.
No,
and I watched it the day before.
I would not be comfortable telling you a name and pointing at a character from The Thing 2011, because I feel like I'd be pointing at, like, a Midsommar person, and I wouldn't be able to tell who each other are.
Well, we just say Peter for everyone. Everyone's Peter.
Pretty much. But yeah, so same premise, The Thing 1982, you got the dog running up to the camp and the helicopter chasing it. It's such a good setup, because you imagine watching this in the theaters. If you didn't know what you were going into, I bet this movie had people walking out from fucking disgust. I guarantee it did.
That's what I like. I like being disgusted. This movie's fucking gross.
Oh, yeah, this movie's fucking nasty.
Like, the movie starts and these guys are chasing a dog, shooting at it through a helicopter, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? And there's just a bunch of guys hanging out in a pool hall in the frickin' American base, and they go out and they just start getting shot, and guys start getting blown up, and then they're like, what the fuck is going on? And then Gary pulls out a gun. Gary's inside. He smashes out the window and shoots the Norwegian guy in the head.
He's dead-eyed. He just instantly domes him. He doesn't even ask what's going on.
And everyone's so antagonistic towards each other in this movie, too. Like, everyone's having a bad fucking time. They don't care about each other.
Yeah, they live in the fucking Arctic. You'd want to kill yourself. MacReady's just drinking all the time alone.
Gary pops that guy in the head, then Palmer's like, I was wondering when El Capitan was going to use his pop gun. Like, it just says shit like that because he's a fucking asshole. And then when Knowles is cooking that night and the dog's going around infecting people with the thing, like, what's the guy who literally got shot that day, goes over the intercom. He's like, Knowles, turn that shit down. I'm trying to sleep. And Knowles is like, okay. And then doesn't turn it down.
He just waves his hand because Knowles is a dickhead, but he does make a good dinner, apparently.
Does make a fine pot of stew.
Yep.
So this movie has the same kind of plot where, like, the thing comes in, and it's also rather immediate when they figured out, like, what the thing is. Like, they kill the Norwegian
Shit's going on. You don't have to wait. You don't have to wait, like, in the 2011 one. Stuff's happening all the time, and you could talk and be like, I think he might be infected by now. Like, they went off together. I think something's going on. I think they're already infected.
It doesn't have any stupid shit. Like, the fucking dog goes into the kennel, and then the dog, like, like, we haven't seen anything bad yet. The dog, like, the skin sloughs off the dog, and his skull falls off, and he starts turning into, like, this huge beast and starts spraying jizz all over the dogs and eating them and stuff. But in The Thing 2011, like, the thing gets introduced by that guy going into the room with the ice, and he's like, the guy's starting to melt. And then the guy comes in and says, boo, and he goes, boo, and then the thing bursts out of the thing. It's so stupid. Like, I've seen 100 fucking movies that does that. Like, this movie's great. The dog walks in, and this dog has been so ethereal. I don't know how they controlled this dog on set. Because the dog goes in, and the dog doesn't bark.
He looks disturbing.
He just walks around and stares at things, and he just walks in the center of the kennel, and just his skin starts sloughing off and turns into the thing and starts eating the other dogs.
You know, I can bet quite a few people walked out when that happened, because up to that point it was kind of tame. But when the camera pans in and zooms on the dog's face falling off and big tentacles shooting out from all of its orifices and grabbing other dogs and sucking them in, I bet Bob and Steve probably walked out of the theater and said, you know what, I'm about done with these cinema pictures, these moving pictures. I want to go back and play Pong.
Bob and Doug McKenzie were like, hey, that's not that good, eh? And
that's not that good. I think I'm scarred for life, eh?
The other thing I liked about this movie, and the difference, because, like, I'm sure younger people watching this movie are like, that doesn't look realistic, the puppets and shit.
It looks good!
It looks good to me, and I think, like, having a real prop and a real presence there, it's 150% more better. Gooder for me. More gooder. But, like, think of this, Dan. The Thing in 2011, right? The tentacles that go around, they're just, like, weird fleshy tentacles, right? They're just CGI tentacles that flop around. You've seen 100 things.
Substance.
But the tentacles coming out of this fucking dog look like prehensile intestines that are billowing out of it.
And they have like,
they're undulating. They're full of fucking goo. Like, it looks fucking disgusting. It's amazing.
They have little hairs and shit on them. And yeah, they're just shooting out of it at 50 miles an hour. Oh, fuck me, I'm gonna throw up in my mic.
Like, and the thing that's all the little things that happen in this movie too, because the Clark comes in, he's like, what the fuck is going on with these dogs?
And he comes in, he's like, oh my god.
He goes and grabs MacReady, and MacReady's like, get Childs here with the flamethrower, and MacReady starts shooting at the thing, and then MacReady shoots one of the dogs that's wrapped up to put it out of its misery, and Clark freaks the fuck out. And that's where Clark and MacReady restart hating each other. And then Childs comes in, he's like, Childs, burn it! And they just burn it and light it on fire and shit. But it's like, everything, like, all of that is amazing. It's all the little things, bro. Like, there's none of that in the thing 2011. It was just people
were a big monster.
It's just people were antagonistic to each other for no fucking reason.
Yep.
What are some of your favorite elements of this movie?
I was gonna say, you can definitely tell in the 1982 version that they have been working at this base and they're all getting pretty fucking sick and tired of each other.
Yes.
Childs is just annoyed at a bunch of people, and MacReady's like fucked off in his own little shack with his chest computer drinking constantly, it feels like. The smoker dude's always smoking. You can tell they've been working. They aren't like the Norwegian dudes. They've been there for a day and they find an alien.
Yeah, that's so fucking dumb.
I absolutely love, obviously I'm gonna say the same shit lots of people will point at. I fucking love the head crab thing. I love how you can tell it's on an RC car when a dude's head falls off and it grows like spider legs and walks out of the room. And it's almost comical. It's almost
it's like little
comedy.
legs are going as it's walking around.
They're like, the shot's portrayed that they're looking at the camera, and out of view you can see like the little head crab walking by, and you can tell it's like slapped onto an RC car and the legs are just moving.
It's the reaction. It's like, okay, everything
they turn around, yeah.
Because Norris is like a guy that Dan forgot. He's like, Dan kept saying, who the fuck is that? Looking at Norris. And Norris is the guy in the background. And I guess the thing copies things so perfectly because he's infected by the thing pretty early on. He's infected by the dog. Like, he has a heart attack. So the thing has copied him so closely that Norris has a heart attack and almost dies. And then the doctor gets him up the table, and then and then the thing's stomach opens, bites fucking Copper's arms off. He dies. And then MacReady starts burning it, and then the another head shoots out of his gut onto the ceiling and looks around. So MacReady's burning that, but the main head detaches and like lolls around with a big tentacle under the table, grows legs, crawls away, and then Palmer says, "You gotta be fucking kidding!" And then they light it on fire. Like, it's all of that together, right? It's slow, it's slow, and it builds up.
There's shit going on. There's a lot of stuff happening in one scene. It doesn't feel like the 2011 one where a dude dies and they're like, look, this guy's dead. And then another guy dies and they're like, oh my god, now he's dead. It's a clusterfuck. Things in the 1982 version, no one has control over it. Shit's going insane and it stresses you out.
Like, when things happen in the 1982 one, like in the scene where they're doing the blood test, like the blood goes off, like MacReady's talking to everyone, and then MacReady's about to... I love this fucking scene where MacReady's about to stick the hot poker in Palmer's blood, and Palmer literally has a look like, well... and then he sticks it in, the blood goes off, and then Palmer just starts to vibrate and then undulate, and his head starts to open and shit. And Windows gets attacked immediately. It's not like the scene in the Thing 2011 where that thing like sloughs into the other guy, and the other pilot besides Joel Egerton dies, and they take 2 seconds to be like, oh, my friend died. Well, if this was like the Thing 1982, they'd be like, fuck, let's get out of here, and start running away. Like, no one would give a fuck.
They're screaming and hollering, and they're smashing into the walls and the windows and the bookcases because it's a fucking lunatic thing to be a part of.
Like, I think anyone who's ever looked up anything about the Thing, everyone will say, like, oh, all these scenes where Windows gets picked up and the Thing jumps out of the snow and all this stuff, it's all really good, and then whatever, the guy's covered in tentacles. But it's everything that happens around it that's so good. And these actors who sell these performances, like, after the Thing happens with Palmer, and then they're testing Child's blood, Child's like, all right, let's do it. And they stick it in the blood, and then Child's is like, get me out of here! Cut me loose, damn it! Cut me loose! And he keeps looking at MacReady, but side-eye glancing at Gary every second or so for like a split second. It's so fucking good. And then when Gary's alone, he's a little mopey, droopy dog face sitting on the couch, and he's like, I know you gentlemen have been through a lot, but I don't want to spend all of this winter tied to this fucking couch. Like, it's so good, bro.
It's very good. I love that feeling too. A bunch of stuff has happened in this movie, and then finally, you can hear my little cat food bowl going off in the background. Lots of stuff happened in this movie, and then finally at that scene, you're like, they have the 4 people, they know each of them aren't it. What can go wrong? And then they're like, oh fuck, we have to go get Blair. And obviously, you're like, Blair is the thing. Obviously he is. They tied Blair in a fucking shed. And I think Blair was the thing when MacReady went to go see him as well.
When he had the noose in the house? Yes. Totally.
He was fucking weird.
Like, someone obviously went over there, Norris or someone went over there to infect Blair. And Blair started digging tunnels all over the complex, because he dug a tunnel to build, like, the little spaceship he was going to escape on. But he was also able to, like, creep around in the back room. That's how he gets Gary and Knowles, because he's just, like, creeping around in the basement. But yeah, it's just like you don't know what's happening. And then the 2 things I fault with this movie. Okay, one is the magic computer, which everyone talks about, where Blair's sitting in the fucking science room, and he's running stuff, and he's like, time to infect the entirety of the Earth, 0.5 days or whatever the hell it is. Like, no way a computer from the 80s would know that, or a computer today. They have all the 4 guys together, and I'm like, you just need to phalanx. You need to stick together, and then they just go through this freaking thing together, and then get Blair and have it done. But no, Child splits off and does his own thing, and then everything gets fucked up. And I think Dan's gone again. So yeah, so those are the 2 things I'd fault for this film, Danny. What do you think about those 2 things?
I think the supercomputer is a thing from 1982 that they were like, didn't really have a grasp at what computers can and cannot do. So they were like, let's make it that the computer, for some reason, has a running model of an infectious disease that can copy people on it. Like it's a WordPerfect file. He just runs it and he's like, oh, he kind of scratches his beard.
It's a MacGuffin. It gets the plot forward. I'm totally okay with that.
I'm fine with that. Yeah, I don't give a fuck. That's not what you're watching this movie for. You're not watching this movie for tech support.
What about the decision to split up with Childs and not be phalanx through the fucking thing?
I think splitting up was inherently... I think they might not have known how to get them apart again. Because they had the power go out, which was a smart one. You could have had someone, like, disappear with the power outage. I think that was a little bit of a cop-out, because it's so stupid that they would be splitting up. But also, who knows? Up the ending. Like 5 seconds. It's at the very ending, and Childs was already gone, because Childs was, like, guarding the door, and he says he thought he saw Blair, so we fucked off and tried to look for him.
It sets up the ending, right? It sets up the ambiguous ending, and really, for that ending and how good it is, like, I can totally give this a pass. I'm fine with it.
So the ending of this film...
How do you feel about the ambiguity? Because whenever Dan, whenever we're watching these movies, Dan's always like, if that happened, I would kill myself instantly. I would fucking kill everyone and then myself. I'd fucking do it right away.
Don't say that to people about me. I have willpower. I wouldn't kill myself instantly. If me and Jim were out camping and I saw Jim's body one night sucking in a deer and transmogrifying it to a person, I'd kill myself instantly. I'd smash my head open with a big rock. I wouldn't want to live in that reality.
Then I'd suck you down, Dan. I'd suck your body right down.
Yeah. But the ending of this movie, so it is famous among horror movie endings. It is so depressing and...
Well, MacReady decides to fucking kill them. Like, they all... Like, MacReady decides for everyone that they're just gonna die. Like, they just start blowing up the base in order to, like, put this thing on deep freeze so no one will discover it again and they can't escape. So MacReady just literally starts, like, throwing Molotov cocktails and dynamite in every room and blowing shit up. And Knowles and Garrett is going along with it. After they lose Childs. And then at the end, they're in the basement, and MacReady's like, okay, set your charges, and that's it, boys. And then they start setting the charges, and Gary has his face, like, stretched out by Blair as Blair sticks all his tentacles in Gary's mouth. And then Knowles just disappears. We never see Knowles die. He just fucking gets disappeared and subsumed into the thing. Are you still there?
Knowles, I'm surprised Knowles survived. Jim, where would I go if not here?
I don't know where your internet went, man.
Yeah, my internet's bad. Knowles, and you said it too. You were like, this was before movies would kill the black dudes instantly.
Yeah. This is like one of the few movies I've seen from like that era and before. Where
especially that era.
It's like this movie and then Night of the Living Dead. Those are the only movies where like a black person makes it to the end of the film. Like both Knowles and Childs makes it to the literal end of this film, and Knowles is like the third guy left or something. Which is,
I wonder why that is a trope. Like, does that have a seed in racism values, or is it?
Yes.
Does it? Yeah.
Yes.
That's shitty.
Yeah, it's just white people writing movies and not realizing how fucking racist they are inherently. So, But who wrote this movie? Did fucking John Carpenter write this movie? Let me check. Screenplay by Bill Lancaster. He didn't write it. But I'm assuming he had a lot of course, John Carpenter's a visionary filmmaker, and he has a lot of input on what's happening. And he's made a lot of good movies. He like Escape from New York and The Fog, the Starman's really good. They Live. Like, he's made a lot of good movies. A lot of movies that have like they have a lot of movies with political commentary too. Yeah. And I'm assuming this probably had a little bit of that embedded in it, just because it's a bunch of guys having to work together, and then like the power structure and dynamic and stuff like that. It's a lot of itty gritty stuff in this film we haven't touched a bit on, but yeah.
It's a lot of stuff. This movie, there's a reason people have still talked about this movie, and you could make hour-long videos just dissecting every piece of this movie and figuring out when exactly people were infected and how the infection worked between people.
It's ambiguous too.
All this stuff.
And I think it's deliberately ambiguous. As I'm getting older, I really don't like those. They're almost like clickbaity to me, where people were like, Childs at the end was actually the thing because you don't see his breath in one of the scenes, and he drinks the whiskey bottle that's full of gasoline. I'm like, do you know how Molotov cocktails work? They weren't all full of gasoline, you fucking nard. Like, it's shit like that's dumb. And it's stuff that, like, I heard a lot when I was in high school. I'm going to talk about my English degree. But it's the people who got... this is going to sound bad. It's the people who got weeded out the first year of English degrees. The insufferable people would be like, actually, I think my theory is that they'd write this essay about this, and then they'd get a fucking 50 because they didn't touch on any of the themes of the book. So... it's just people who miss the, like... And here's the thing. That sounds prickish. Here's the thing. Like, a person who doesn't give a shit about film theory or critical literary theory can sit in this film and pick up on that inherently. They can pick up, like, everyone hates each other. Everyone's getting really, like, antsy. Everyone's, like, bitching at each other and like, horrible things are happening and having to deal with that stuff. You can pick up on that stuff inherently. Like, you don't have to sit here and be like, actually, Childs was infected on frame 2224 of the 20th minute of this film when he touched the thing's butt.
Pretty much. But yeah, this ending is very ambiguous. It basically paints the picture that Childs was somewhere, base is blown up, MacReady's pretty much fucking toast, he can't move, he's tired, he's exhausted, he's got blown up. He's sitting there, and Childs kind of walks out, he looks all ragged and shit as well, and instantly you're like, he's infected. And MacReady's like, where the hell were you? And he says, I saw Blair, I ran off. And then he's like, how do I know, like, no one survived? And he's like, well... we did, but I don't know if we should have survived. And it's like, are they going to kill themselves right here? And then they're both... MacReady, I think, says it's like, well, if either of us have a surprise in for the other person, I don't think we have enough fight in it to stop it. And then the movie just... ends. It just stops. It just ends. And it's so good, because people are still thinking about it and being like, what the fuck happened? Was Childs the thing? And that's what the short story paints it as. The short story paints it as... Childs was the thing 100%, and I forget what it says, but it's pretty much like, yeah, Childs was the thing 100%.
Ruby, shut the fuck up.
Ruby hates Childs and hates ambiguity.
Ruby's one of the neckbeards on YouTube who post those frame by frame examinations.
MacReady got infected at the end? ? Childs was the real human?
MacReady was the thing the whole time?
Jim, I think I have said what I want to say about The Things. It's good-ass fucking film. Watch them.
Surprise. We didn't like the prequel to The Thing, and we liked The Thing. Whoever would have guessed?
Yeah, right.
But it really, if you haven't seen The Thing, we didn't talk about itty-gritty details very much. We just talked about stuff we liked and didn't like. But, yeah, if you haven't seen The Thing from 1982, go watch it right now. Even if you don't like watching quote-unquote old movies. That's the thing I find so weird.
It doesn't feel old. It does not feel like it's from the fucking 80s.
This is the thing that I find weird, is that, like, I watch movies from, like, the 30s and 40s, and that's what I consider old movies. But there are people who are our age nowadays, like, bro, I don't watch movies that are older than 2002, and I'm like...
yeah, that is true.
Fuck, like, there's so many good movies.
You just cut yourself out of, like, dozens and dozens of years of good media. Yeah, I don't know why people do films. That.
Yeah, let us know what you think about The Thing. DM us, add us on Twitter, send us a message, reply under our post. We always do a post every Monday when the episode comes out. Like it, share it, whatever. what we're doing for the next time. So
yeah, Jim, tell me. Jim said that it's something I can do on my little vacation, because I'm heading up to a cottage. I will be up at a cottage when this episode airs.
Dan's going for a vacay. So what we're going to do, Dan, and before you leave, you download season 1 and 2 of The White Vault.
The White Vault? That's that horror podcast?
Yes. And
cool, I'll do that.
It's the same setup as Archive 81, but it doesn't suck huge dong like Archive 81 did. It doesn't suck balls. It's really good.
I pour one out for Archive 81 on Netflix? It got canceled immediately.
Poor Archive 81. What a bad podcast and middling show. So yeah, we're gonna watch season 1 and 2 of Archive 81. So that's the contained.
Not Archive 81. Not Archive.
Oh, not Archive 81. Season 1 and 2 of The White Vault. They've infected my brain, Dan.
I'm excited for that. It's a very meta episode. It's going to be a podcast episode on a podcast.
Another episode where Jim picks a podcast for his podcast.
It's going to be good, though. It's going to be a good one.
It's going to be an actual podcast. It's not going to be a movie or movie. It's going to actually just be the podcast. So go listen to White Vault Season 1 and 2. That's the first contained story of the first arc of the storyline there. So go listen to that. And as always, I'm at Popeye Barkin. The other guy's at Dan Sama with 2 A's. All the podcast intros by Lee Jackson, the wonderful, luxurious Lee Jackson. Podcast art and animations by CassieHDesign.com, all one word. Beachen.art on ArtStation. And Dollbox02 on Instagram. And Dan, you brought us in, you bring us out. What are you going to talk about here?
I think that's about it. I just wanted to say, if you are still listening to my dumb outro and our podcast, rate us on wherever you listen to podcasts. We love seeing that, and we love seeing engagement. I'm going to go have a nice icy cold shower to swell my body from this heat, because I can feel it radiating off of me.
That's what I'm a fade out on. My discovery of Dan yesterday. So picture this, listener. It was a long day of work. I walk over to Dan's house. I go up the stairs, and I'm in his apartment. I'm like, Cassie, how you doing? She's like, okay. And then Dan comes over, and he's like, hey, how you doing? He takes his shirt off, and it's literally like he has the 2 whitest teats I've ever seen on a human being, and then the biggest, reddest tummy I've ever seen. He looks like one of those, like... You know, like how Gorbachev had a wine stain? Dan's entire body looked like a wine stain. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Think about that.
Good night, darling.
Goodbye, Jill.
Bye-bye.
Good night, Dan.
Good night, everybody.